this is Chelle of Chelle's Creations, and today I want to show you how I use the watercolor florals to create fun elements for my kits. In particular this time, we are going to create this tag. So the first thing that I need is a blank tag, layered tag. How you create that is up to you, but here I have this one. And I've gone ahead and added a white paper to my top layer. I picked a paper that has a bit of a texture to it so that it would work well with the watercolor. I wanted it to have more of a thicker, deeper texture, so that's the paper that I chose. Okay, now I think we are ready to go ahead and add the watercolor flowers. Now I need a new layer. I always like to put each of the flowers on a different new layer so that I can play around with them. So the first thing that I work on is placement, and then I come back and work on color. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this coral color right here. And I'm going to make sure that I have my brush selected. My opacity is all the way up to 100%. And now let's choose the right brush. I want these 6-petaled ones right here. I think I'll start with this one. And I don't want them anywhere near that big, so I'm using my bracket keys to lower the size. And I'm going to go ahead and go with about that size right there. That's 100%. And then I'm going to rotate it just a smidgen. Okay, I want to use that brush again, and I don't want to have to mess with it. So I'm just going to hold down my Option key, and then I'm going to click on it and drag to a new spot. Let's make this one holding down my Shift and my Alt key. I'm going to go with something smaller like this. And let's turn that one a little bit more. Remember, with watercolors, they can overlap. And I think I want to put one over here. You will see when they overlap, you can see how they're darker where they overlap. That's a fun feature of the watercolor brushes. I'm going to go ahead and put one right back here. I think I want that one a little bit smaller. Okay, but I don't want them to all be the same brush, and so I'm going to go back in and pick a different brush now. And again, I need a new layer. Let's go back in and pick a different one. I think I picked the last one this time, so this time I'm going to pick the third one. And again, I need it much smaller. Let's put it about the same size as that one. Let's put one over here. And now I will click and drag that one up here. Spin it a little bit. I think I'll sit it right there. Put this one that small also right here. In fact, let's make this one a smidgen taller. And then one more back to the smaller right over here. I think I want one tiny one up here. There we go. Okay, like I said, the first thing I work on is placement, getting the flowers where I want. Because we are in Photoshop, now we can go back and tweak the colors. I know I want this first one to be that color, but probably the second one I want a different color. So let's add a new color fill layer. Layer, new fill layer, solid color. And this time I'm going to go ahead and choose the orange. And I'll clip it to it. Now you can see now that flower looks like I did it in orange. And let's see, where was the next one? I'm going to leave that one orange also. And probably that little one can be orange. Let's see about the next one. That one I want to be pink. So let's go ahead and choose a pink color for that one. There we go. And then we'll kind of pick and choose which ones we want to be what color. I still want some of them to stay the coral color. Probably that one will stay the coral color. That one could be pink. And one more. Nope, not the top one up there. I want this one pink. Okay. Now you'll notice that when I'm changing these colors, to duplicate that color fill layer each time I hold down my Alt key, click on it and drag it. It works the same way whether you're working on your canvas or whether you're working over in your layers palette. Okay, I have those set up pretty much where I want them. This one I put here on purpose, and I left it coral on purpose because I'm going to add that actual real flower attached to that spot. So let's go over it. This one comes from Blooming Crochet 2, my second set of Blooming Crochet flowers. Let's go ahead and drag that in place. Okay, I'm going to want that at the very top, so I'm going to hold down my Command or Control key and my Shift key and then go ahead and hit the right bracket, and that will move it right up to the very top. Now let's place it, and I'm going to rotate it just a smidgen because I really want it to be just like the watercolor flower underneath it. Just that that one is kind of almost makes it look like it jumps off the page, and I'm going to need a shadow style on that one. I'm going to go ahead with my, let's use that one, the felt chipboard style. Because I want it a little bit thinner, and then I'm going to lighten that up. It's linear burn, just a little. The white background means I want it really light behind there, so I'm going to drop that to 26%. Okay, we are getting there. I want a background behind this, and I'm not sure what color background I want behind it, so I'm going to try a couple different things. Holding down my Command key and clicking on the smaller inside tag, and I select that area. Then above my white clipped paper, I'm going to make a new layer. And I think the first time I'm going to try this pink, only a little bit lighter color. So let's go in and choose a lighter pink. And then holding down your Alt key, click on Delete, and it'll fill that space with that color pink. That's probably going to be light enough. Okay, except that I want to decide where I put it. So I'm going to go ahead and add a layer mask by clicking on this layer mask button. And I want to erase the whole thing and then just paint it back in where I want it. And so I need to make sure that black is my foreground color, and that I am working on the layer mask, and that means that I'll have these little lines around the corners of the layer mask. Now if I hit Alt Delete, it fills that whole space with black and the pink disappears, and that's just what I'm looking for. Okay, let's switch back again. You can either switch by clicking on this little double arrow key, or you can just hit X to switch back and forth. Now I'm going to be painting with white. This time I want a soft round brush, and I want a large soft round brush, something like 500 to 700 pixels. Let's go up here to my soft round brushes. I have a lot of brushes loaded. Here we go. Okay, that one is, yeah, there we go, 500. And I'm going to lower my opacity to 50%. You can do that by clicking on the slider up here, by typing something new in, or just by hitting the 5 on the keyboard. Now, when I touch the first time, you'll just get a little bit of that kind of that blush poking through. And I'm not dragging, I'm just clicking here and there. That way when I click a second time, it might overlap it and give it a little bit darker. Notice. Okay, there, that adds just a smidgen of pink peeking through, but it doesn't look like it was watercolor painted. So you need to snag the plain watercolors. There are 4 of them, and they're exactly for this purpose, so that you can make other things look watercolored. So let's go ahead and drag that in. And then let's clip it to that pink tag layer and change the blending mode on it to overlay. If you find that that gives it too much watercolor texture, I'm going to go ahead and show you how that works. You can see the watercolor texture behind it. If you find it gives you too much watercolor texture, just lower the opacity on it just a little bit. Okay, I want to add some centers to these flowers, but I just want it to be that the paint wasn't quite as strong or as bold in those places. And so I'm going to choose my eraser tool, and I'm going to go back into the watercolor brushes, and I'm going to choose one of the round ones. Let's go ahead and choose Circle 4. It's clearly too large, so use your bracket key to make it small. To make sure you know which flower you're working on, you can just turn on the eyeball, off the eyeball, and back on again. And I want to make sure that my opacity is at 50%, and my quickest way to do that is just to click on the 5. Okay, that will give that, it just kind of erases that center just a smidgen. Okay, the next one, it's this big orange one down here. Go ahead and erase the center on that one. And the last orange one, a little bit smaller. Now we are doing this coral one. Right there. And that coral one, a little bit smaller right there. This, oh, those were the pink ones. Okay, this coral one, I gotta make sure I got the right one. I do, okay. This one. And then the very last one, this one right up here. Okay. There we go. Now we have centers on our flowers. Now we're almost finished. Just a few finishing touches. We need to clip everything together. You have a couple of choices here. You can flatten everything and clip it to the inside or smaller tag layer, or if you want to leave it so that this is more versatile, maybe you come back and tweak it a little bit later, the quickest way to do that would be to crop these flowers using a layer mask. Since it's the same shape as the inside tag, again, I'm going to click on that inside tag, control click on that icon, then go up here to my first flower and click on the layer mask. What that will do is say only show up inside of that tag. And now I can duplicate that layer mask for all of my flowers, just again by holding down the Alt key, click and drag. And you'll notice that as I do this, it is cropping the flowers to fit. There we go. Obviously that black background needs a better color, so I'm going to go in and get one of the colors of paper that will come closer to that one. Okay, and the only other thing that you might want to consider is if you don't want the pink here and you want green instead, let's try that same thing. Let's click on this one and we'll make a new layer, and this time let's choose a soft green color. Something like this. And we want to do the same thing. Add a layer mask. And let's make sure that black is our foreground color. Hold down the Alt and Delete to fill our layer mask with black. And now let's get our soft round brush again. Make sure that your white foreground color is selected, and then let's paint in just a little bit of green here. You know, this time I might lower the opacity on this one to 30% because that green is stronger than what I had envisioned in my head when I thought of this one. So you can add green, you can add pink, you can add whatever you want that way. And on that green layer, we need to make sure that we add the watercolor texture. Which brings up the very last point. If you don't feel like these watercolor flowers have enough of a watercolor texture to them, you can go ahead and do the same thing. Add that watercolor texture over top of your flower so that you give it a little bit more if you want. You know, that's a personal preference of what you're looking for. That one seems a little bit strong to me, so I'm going to go ahead and lower the opacity on that overlay. Yeah, right there at about 50–55%. And now I'll do the same thing, duplicating it and clipping it down on each of the layers. You know, I think I like the pink better than I like the green, so I'm going to go back down here and shut off my green layer and turn back on my pink layer. Yeah, there we go. Just like that. And there you have it. If you like the tips you've seen in this video today, I'd love it if you hit the like button below and go ahead and leave me a comment. Or if you like, you can share this video with your friends. I share tips like this every month in my design club. Follow the link below for more details. If you have any questions, you can reach me at shells.creations1@gmail.com. See you next time.